Let me go. All right.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Morning Startup Show. I'm JJ Pruitt, and I'm with special guest Bradley Dameron, while Darryl McCoy, my co-host, is on vacation. Bradley, the last time I spoke to you yesterday, you said that you was running on maybe an hour and a half of sleep in the last 24 hours. Can you tell me if you actually got some rest today or last night?
I did. My rest time up to about 6 hours, so that's a lot more doable. So I'm hoping to be a little more chipper today, from the glorious metropolis of Marbone Creek. That's where I'm coming from.
Absolutely. And I'm live in, West Virginia, and the weather's solid for now. I mean, yesterday it was pretty ridiculous. I believe one of the signs at the stoplight said it was 98 degrees, which is, man, it's unreal.
It is absolutely like just the heat's been horrible. Although I do think we're supposed to drop down into the mid 80s around here tomorrow and the next few days. So listen, when it's been 97, 98, 85 seems nice and cool and comfortable. So
Absolutely. I mean,
I'll take 85 in July.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, usually when I go to Vegas every summer, it's 110 to 115. So I guess where I haven't been there in the last, almost year, I forgot, how how blessed I am right now. So I'm right there with you, man.
Yeah, I tell you, man, right now, just looking around, outside, it looks like it's going to be a pretty decent day, and
Hmm.
hopefully, hopefully, some people get the opportunity to go out and enjoy the weather, but stay cool because it's still going to be pretty hot today.
Absolutely. So you gave me an assignment, you and my co-host Darryl. You told me to watch the Make One film, and I actually got a
Yes.
chance to watch it last night for the first time ever.
And what were your initial impressions?
Well, first of all, I'm ashamed because being from Make One, for me to have never seen it, I remember watching like 10 or 15 minutes of it when I was in like seventh grade in my teacher, Mr. Thomas's class, but I didn't really pay much attention because I thought it was just like some sort of documentary that a bunch of locals put together and it wasn't that good. But I was blown away with how well it was made. I mean, the quality of the movie, like the cinematography, the acting was top tier with James Earl Jones and a couple of other actors as well. And some of the things that stood out to me is just the way that the miners were treated, during that time period. It was almost like, I hate to use the term, slaves, but it was like they went to work, and then as soon as they went to work, they was like, okay, this pick is going to be taken out of your pay, this shovel is going to be taken out of your pay, this ride to work is taken out of your pay, and then finally when you do get paid, you get paid in some sort of credit that can only be used at our store specifically. And
and
then
and
oh,
that
go
credit,
ahead.
was scripts, like a lot more coins and stuff, and because I mean, and it would be something if something would cost 50 cents at
Hmm.
like in cash somewhere else, you go to the company store, it might be like $1.50 or something like that.
And you can imagine during that time period in the 19, I want to say it was 1900, like 1920s or something like that.
It's early
I'm not exactly
1900s.
sure. Yeah, the precise date. I want to be accurate, but that's a lot of triple that's a lot of money. So it's basically like they were working for nothing.
And I don't know if they're still showing it in schools now. I mean, I will admit, it's one of those movies I remember whenever remember it when it was first shown to me. It was in school, and my parents had to sign a permission slip because let's face it, it can get a little rough at times,
Yeah,
especially when you're talking to kids, or talking about kids watching it, because it's not a kids movie.
no,
Definitely not a kids movie. But
yeah.
yeah. So I do have a couple questions. Like, what was the thing that stood out the most to you in that movie?
Well, the way that they were able to come together, like in the beginning, there was a lot of racial tensions. Whenever some of the blacks and some of the Italians came in, the whites, like, they weren't a fan of. They said, these guys are coming in and taking our jobs and things like that. And early in the film, like, there was a lot of tension. But then, midway through the film, they started to come together as one union, and that was one of the things that I enjoyed the most. How even in spite of that time period, they were able to put whatever differences they had aside and say, look, the only way that we're going to be able to do anything is to be able to come together or try to come together. And, that's what they were able to do towards, midway and towards the end. And, that was one thing that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I actually I still think it's an excellent film. Holds up really well today.
Hmm.
Um, you know, I'm sure there's still a lot of people in the area who haven't just bothered to watch it.
Yeah,
Trust me, it's worth it. It's
absolutely.
I know it was made in '87 and seems like a really old movie to a lot of people, but it's a really good movie, and I think everyone needs to watch it. The man who directed it and
Hmm.
and put it together, same guy who did Eight Men Out. I don't know if
Yeah,
you ever
that,
seen it.
and which was the Black Sox scandal, right?
Yes, yes, the Black Sox scandal. Bring it back to sports. The 1919 uh, Chicago White Sox with the whole gambling scandal and
Hmm.
fixing games and whatnot. So
And what's crazy is a lot of people, I mean, if they don't really do the research about that scandal, they'll be like, "Oh, it was just a bunch of guys that cheated." But whenever you watch the film, you see that one of the main pitchers, he had won like 20 or 21 games going into the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season. And in order for him to get a $10,000 bonus at the time, all he had to do was win one more game. And I think that they had maybe 8 to 10 games left. I'm not 100% sure, but they had a significant amount of games left, and he most likely would have probably gotten that one last victory. But the owner of the team at the time was like, he kept swearing up and down that he's like, look, man, we got to rest you for the postseason. We got to rest you for the World Series. We can't take that risk. And, that really rubbed him the wrong way because he's like, look, man, I'm one win away from a $10,000 bonus. And it just basically looked like the owner didn't want to pay him.
well, and $10,000 back in 1919 was a lot of money. I mean,
Yeah.
like it's a good chunk of money today, but
So back in the 80s, if you $10,000 today would be what, about 30 grand, 30 or 40,000? It,
I don't know if it'd be 40, but it'd probably be closer to 30. I mean, it's
yeah, like
it'd be
triple.
a lot. I,
It will be triple. So
I
you
would
can
have to
imagine
get
at
an
night.
inflation calculator, out, but it's
Yeah, I'm gonna look that up real quick, Bob, because we have a
check what
2 hour
it
show
been in
anyways.
1919 because, like, I mean,
Okay.
you think about like 1919, it's people would go buy a drink at the store for like a nickel or something. I mean, it was very different. I know that's hard for a lot of, especially our younger viewers and stuff, to imagine, but that's just the way of the world then.
And I actually have it. In 1919, $10,000 will be the equivalent of $190,344.
And that's not chump change.
No,
So,
absolutely not.
so I can see where he would be a little bit miffed about missing out on that 10 grand back then.
Yeah, so you're looking at 19 times the amount, roughly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So it just goes to show how it seems like in all aspects of life there were so many people that were mistreated when it came to like money and stuff like that.
I tell you, JJ, I just want to say I'm proud of you
I really
because
appreciate.
you watched Mate One. You're getting there one step at a time, baby.
Yeah, yeah, being sheltered and all that good stuff. I'm slowly, working my way up in. It looks like my good friend Todd Ninny is watching. Todd, man, it's been a long time since I've had a chance to talk to you. I'm wondering if you can still play. Me and Todd had a lot of good run-ins during open gym back in the day. He had this one go-to move where he'd hit you with a pump fake and then he'd do a step back and he'd
Mm-hmm.
shoot the three-point shot. And I can count on one hand how many times I was able to block it, but he was very effective with it. So Todd, I really appreciate you tuning in. And you told me that, or Darryl assigned you some homework as well. He told you to get some guests. So do you by any chance have any guests for us today?
Yes, at around 8:30, we have from the OPB Swish, we have Carla Booth scheduled.
Mm-hmm.
And then at about 9 to 9:15, we have Mingo Central quarterback Jackson Annie Mills.
You gotta wait. So you got his son on? Okay. Wow. Yes, I'm really
Well,
excited about this because I remember when he was maybe this big,
yeah,
and
yeah,
and
man. We
Todd
have
used to talk about him all the time.
we're gonna just talk to Jackson a bit about how the summer's going, and heard he had a really great 7-on-7
Mm-hmm.
up at Morgantown. So we're going to just talk to him a little bit and um, get to know him a little bit better.
Absolutely. And you said he's a football star, so like I know his daddy was a hooper. Like Todd, you have to let me know if you was a football player back in the day as well. Maybe if you was on one of them teams that had a good run back in the 90s.
Well, Mate One sure had some teams, man.
Absolutely. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
One of my cousins, Tad Moore, he was on the 1993 state championship team. And, my cousin Larry, he was on a couple of the runner up teams. And, my good friend AJ Johnson, he was a pivotal part of the 93 championship team as well. He actually I think he got one of the only touchdowns, in that game. So yeah, he was a really good part of it.
Well, I tell you, that's one thing. Mate One, Yogi Kinder,
Hmm.
coaching legend, absolute legend, had one of the best programs you'd find across the state rolling then, and then took that success and won a state title at Mingo Central before retiring. I mean, he went out on top. The man went out on top, and
That's the
yeah,
best way to do it. I mean, and to be able to do it at multiple schools, I mean, that says a lot. Honestly, I mean, yeah, and I bet he was really happy to be able to do that. I mean, I can imagine. I haven't seen him in years, but I actually heard he's still coaching somewhere. Do you know, like, if he's still coaching by any chance, or?
if Yogi's still coaching,
Yeah.
I know he moved away. I'm not really
Uh-huh.
sure, but I see Todd there. He's saying that the boys were too big at Mate One in the '90s for him to play. He says, "No way! I spending my August Lane guys like a Lara and Ford thump on the rear. Lara, that's one I haven't heard in a hot minute." But yeah, gosh, yeah. Todd, I don't blame you. I would also not want those guys thumping on me. So I get it. I
I
get
was
it.
the exact same way. Like, I tried to play football, but my dad, he was much bigger than I am, and I just never got the size. I was quick, but I was, if you'd have hit me, you'd have broke me in half. even on the basketball court, I was, a stick figure as well. So yeah, so some
Well,
people are just built for it.
I tell you, some people are. I think you have to be built for it. You have to be geared
Hmm.
for it mentally.
Absolutely.
I don't think it's a sport that you can go out there and just kind of wing it.
No, and there
Uh,
are plenty of people out there that have the athletic ability. Like, I've seen on ESPN and some of these other networks, people debating on whether or not, I think it was Austin Rivers that was saying, like, I know 10 or 15 people in the NBA right now that could go play football. You may know that many players that have the athletic ability to do it, but how many of them have the ability to take a hit?
not many.
You know?
That's the thing. I mean, they could play maybe wide receiver or
Yeah.
running back or something, depending on who they are.
Hmm.
You might even be able to get the odd one out, like well, for example, Jason Williams was a high school quarterback.
Yeah,
White
white
chocolate
chocolate.
himself. You
Hmm.
know, he was Moss's high school quarterback. So
Yeah, well, I would love to see some of those highlights because he was apparently he was really good. He's a really good quarterback.
he was a good quarterback, but to be fair, he also had two NFL players on the team with him.
Hmm.
He had
Who was the
Bobby
Who was the
Howard,
other? Oh, okay.
who was a running back and linebacker, and he was one of those guys who spent probably about 6 to 8 years in the NFL. Never was a star, but I know
Hmm.
he started some games, and I know he was with the Bears at one point, and I want to say the Chiefs, but he bounced around with a few teams. One of those
Yeah.
guys who bounced around to be it got playing time, and then
Hmm.
but still, listen, if you're a bench warmer, and he wasn't a bench warmer, he did play, but if you're a bench warmer in the NFL, you are elite. You
If you're
are,
actually, and the thing about it is, the average. I believe that there is a statistic out there that it said like the average NFL career is only 3 years to begin with.
yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah, so if
And
you
he
made it
and he
six
went
years,
beyond.
then you're double the average.
Yeah, so I mean, he was a good player, and then I mean, Jason Williams just had to throw it up.
Hmm. He go
Moss would
get
go
it.
get it. I remember I went to college with a guy who was a cornerback at
Hmm.
George Washington, and they played DuPont. And he told me his coach, quick Randy Moss story, but he told me his coach before the game. His coach was trying to convince him that he could cover Moss, and he had him too. He
Hmm.
had him convinced, and he said, so he came to that game like, yeah, I got this guy. I'm going to lock him down. He's overrated. And he said the very first series, he couldn't remember if it was the first play, but it was like first, second play, something like that. He said they just sent him on a go route. And he realized after about like 2 seconds that it was not going to be a good day. And he said Moss had over 250 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns that game. And he
And
just,
probably within the first step, or even before he even took a step, he probably already had his hand up.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
ready for somebody to go get it.
just one of the, if I'm talking about athletes I've seen in person at that level, I
Hmm.
didn't see Moss play professionally in person,
Yeah.
but I did see him play in high school and collegiately in person. In both, and I saw him play in both basketball and football. Just that type of athlete, you see him, and man, he's just different. You see kids, you see some guys who are really good, but then you see that, and that's
When
just a
you
whole other level of athleticism.
Absolutely, and when you have a verb that's named after you, like like getting mossed, that's how you know. I mean,
You've made it, right?
yeah, absolutely. 20 years down the road, people say I'm about to moss you, and everybody will know who it is.
Yeah, I
And if
mean,
you ask the newer generation like who they think the best receiver is ever, like a lot of times, if you would ask 10 people, half of them, if not more than half, would say they think that he's at the top.
and I will say this: I think he's the most talented wide
Hmm.
receiver ever.
Yeah, I mean, if
I
I had
still
to
got to
do
give
a
it up
quick,
to Rice, but
yeah, his
Jerry
numbers were
Rice.
ridiculous. I mean, he's got numbers and statistics or he's got numbers and rings to go with it, and he's got longevity.
Yeah,
But it's like it.
the longevity is huge for him. He did it for a very long time. Was very polished,
Hmm.
and I mean, and I think Moss will be one of the first people to tell you that he didn't always give his best effort. He
He
really
played when he
seems to
wanted to.
he seems to really have mellowed out in the last
Hmm.
few years, and been really reflective on things. But when he was playing, there were times where you could tell he just looked disinterested, and that was how it was. But speaking of players of NFL or NBA players in the NFL, you've got a little bit of NBA news for us, JJ.
Well, before we do the NBA news, I'm going to have to go to a commercial break. Usually we do it at 15 after, but you and I managed to go 20 minutes. So when we come back from our first commercial break, we will get to the news in the NBA world, and we will be back shortly on the Morning Startup Show.
It's where it all started, right here on this farm. We may have grown over the years, but we've never lost sight of what was important to us. We're continuing that tradition today, and we always will be for generations to come.
Walters Kia. By now you know Kia is a great vehicle, and you know they come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. So why should you buy from Bruce Walters Kia? At Bruce Walters Kia, we're going to change your oil for free for life. And what you do with that money you save is up to you. Come check out the 2022 Kia Carnival and the 2021 Kia Sorento. Only at Bruce Walters Kia in Pikeville. Or shop us online at brucewalterskia.com.
And we are back on the Morning Startup Show. I'm JJ Pruitt, and I'm with my special guest, Bradley Damron. And it looks like Larry Dwayne Klein, he just posted a comment. He said there will never be another Moss, and I 100% agree with you.
I mean, I would be shocked to ever see anything else like him out on the football field. Unreal, just an unreal athlete, and could have been a big-time college basketball player as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I read a story years ago about how he was at he was basically, I think it was maybe an AAU tournament or something, and some coach made the comment like he was 6'5", and like he's a 6'5" forward basically, and he basically told him like there's a lot of 6'5" forwards, and he said so he doesn't know if there's another 6'5" wide or other 6'5" wide receiver with that athleticism. And absolutely. I think that was kind of the light bulb moment for him where he's like, oh.
Yeah, for sure.
He made the right decision.
Looks like my boy Matt Maynard just tuned in, and I appreciate you tuning in, and I'm going to be getting one of your throwback jerseys pretty soon. So I definitely need that number 10. So you and I talked before the commercial break about, some stuff that's been going on in the sports world. We were supposed to talk about, Bronny's debut a couple of days ago, but we didn't get a chance to. So it looks like they played against the Golden State Warriors, and the final score was 108-94. His stats, he played 22 minutes. He got 4 points on 2 for 9 from field goal. He was 0 for 3 from the three-point shot. He was 0 for 2 from the free throw line. He had 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 steal. So what do you think of those stats?
They're in line with his college stats. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I can't blame LeBron, actually. The thing is, I know he's let's face it, the Lakers did not draft Bronny in the second round because and sign him to that huge contract because they think that Bronny is going to be a special player. They signed him because to appease his dad. On the same token, I can't blame his dad because he's looking out for his son. But I mean, second round draft picks are not wastes, regardless of what some people think. I mean, Jokic was a second round draft pick. You find stars late, and and now no one knew that Jokic was going to be what he became.
Yeah.
But
speaking of that, who do you think is maybe the biggest draft steal in NBA history? Like, if you look through the entire history of the NBA, to your recollection, who do you think is the one player that's like, well, we didn't see that coming, and he went on to have, a spectacular career?
Oh, didn't see. I mean, well, Jokic is up there.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone expected that. I'm sure there are some. Rodman was
Yeah.
not exactly a highly recruited guy. I mean, most of the ones I think of as elite players, they were at least taken in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
Like now, I mean, it could be argued that Jordan was a steal at 3,
Yeah.
but I mean, if you didn't pick Jordan at 1, you stole him. But it was
But Akeem Olajuwon, I mean, he's probably the only person that could have been drafted ahead of him, and people say, well, we still won.
yeah, you'd still be okay. Olajuwon
Yeah.
was still the best center I believe I've seen, but that's
Definitely most skilled. To me personally, I mean, his footwork, his ability to play defense, he had a soft touch whenever he shot the ball. I believe he's all-time leader in blocks as well. I mean, Wilt Chamberlain probably would have been number one if they kept track of blocks, but I think he had like 3,200 blocks or something for his entire career, which is really good.
Yeah, Olajuwon, if you look at him statistically, not just blocks, rebounds, all that, there is a strong argument that he is the greatest defensive player to ever play in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And and you think of like Wilt and Bill Russell and all those other centers, but I mean like player period, because he surprisingly got a lot of steals at the center position.
Yeah.
He had 2 quadruple doubles in his career.
Well, I think one didn't count, did it? It was like an
Oh yeah,
unofficial
they
one.
did. I think they went back later and took away something.
Yeah.
They took away like a rebound or something ridiculous,
Mm-hmm.
or an assist, or but he was just a phenomenal player.
Absolutely.
But man, I can't be mad at Bronny or
No, me
LeBron
either.
for doing that. It just feels like a waste. I mean, what do you do if you're the Lakers? Or do you actually? I mean, how do you improve? I don't see a way to improve right now.
Well, I think what hurt them was LeBron. He signed like a 2-year, $100 million contract.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're really talking about winning for your last 2 or 3 seasons that you're going to play, I mean, I get it from a financial standpoint, but if you're really looking to win, you already made $500 million on the court, off the court. You've made a significant amount. I mean, you literally took the max. I don't even think they have any money left on the salary cap to be able to actually sign anybody.
Yeah, and I think they wanted to bring in an extra guy or two, and just I don't know. I don't see. I think they're kind of just riding out LeBron's career at this point, and when he retires, they're probably just going to have to kind of blow it up and restart. Yeah. I mean, right now you're looking at a team that's just a borderline playoff team. If that, they may slip further down next year, but we will see. Look, I'm a Celtics fan. I gotta have a little hate in my life sometimes towards some teams. I don't like the Lakers, but
yeah, Celtics. Speaking of them, they're going to be really good next year as well.
Yeah, the Celtics will be fine.
It looks like Todd Nenny says, didn't Klay Thompson turn down the Lakers for more money to go to Mavs?
I'm not sure if it's for more money, but
I believe it has something to do with the taxes, Todd. I think he did turn down like an extra $10 million, but I think that by going to Texas, I'm not sure what the tax laws are. You may have to, fill me in on that, but I'm pretty sure one of the reasons why he chose to go to Dallas not only was because of, obviously the roster that they had, but I think it was for tax purposes too.
Well, I think too, players are a little less likely to want to play with LeBron right now than they used to be, because LeBron's at the downside of his career. If you go to that team, there's a chance you may be gone if you don't mesh with him or something.
And the problem is it's hard to mesh with somebody who is the system. I mean, literally, there's no triangle offense. There's no offense that you're running specifically. It's literally him at the top of the key with the ball and you waiting for him to make the decision on what he wants to do. So I mean, it's at times it can be difficult to play with, somebody that's like that.
And by the way, I do think Klay Thompson going to the Mavs, I mean, it makes sense. I know Klay
Mm-hmm.
had some struggles this year, but if he can regain that, if he can just be a spot up shooter, I
Yeah,
mean, he has some guys around him, and I think it could help the Mavs tremendously. Just if he rebounds a bit, then the Mavs are suddenly a lot better.
absolutely. Well, Bradley, it looks like it's 8:30. So I mean, I think we have a guest that's supposed to come at 8. Around this time. Are you able to get a hold of Carla?
Not currently,
Okay.
but we will hang around right here. But we will try to we'll keep reaching out.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Keep
for
reaching out.
sure. And I really look forward to, having a conversation with her as well and learning more about the, OPB Swish. And I can't tell you how happy I am that women's basketball is finally, getting some traction because it's been long overdue. I mean, the WNBA, I think it was founded in 1996. So, it
Yeah,
sucks that it took this long for them to actually be able to get something going, but it's better late than never.
absolutely. But we look forward to speaking to Carla whenever that is.
Hmm.
But
Absolutely.
also, JJ, do we have time to talk about a county today?
I believe we have a 2-hour show, and I believe we have a couple of minutes. So if you would, if you'd like to educate, our audience on the county today, I would love to hear about it as well. Which county did you decide to go with?
Today we went with Wayne County, West Virginia.
Oh, a West Virginia county, finally. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
represent the Mountain State here today.
All right. So what can you tell me about them?
Let's see. Well, it is, Wayne County. It's the westernmost county in West Virginia.
The
It's
westernmost
named
county of
after,
West Virginia. Okay.
and it's named for General Anthony Wayne, who they called Mad Anthony Wayne,
Mm-hmm.
and and it was founded in 1842. Um, the largest city in it is Canova, the city of Canova, and then the county seat is the city of Wayne.
Yeah.
One of our good places, we like to visit from time to time is Wayne.
I have never been to Wayne County.
You've never been to Wayne County?
Never.
Not
Where's
the
it?
county. I'm not talking about the town, but the county.
Never. I mean, what cities are in Wayne County?
You've
Like
been
what?
to Tulsa, right?
Oh, that's Wayne County.
Yeah, it's in Wayne County. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I've been there. All right.
You were
I
talking
didn't.
about Tulsa yesterday. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah. Okay, I got you. Yeah, I've been there.
yeah. It's you go past Kermit and
Hmm.
you're in Wayne County pretty quickly.
Isn't it funny how like you can just literally pass one county and then like 2 minutes later be in another one completely?
Yeah, I mean, like where I live right here, I
Hmm.
can be in Wayne County in like 2 minutes, but
Oh wow.
so I mean, so I'm right here, but yeah, I knew you've been there, but
Hmm.
it was started as a settlement due to constant Native American attacks. There were no European settlers in the area, and it became Wayne County after 1794. Once the area was made safe for European settlers. And also another interesting fact, in 1863, at the height of the Civil War, Wayne was one of 50 Virginia counties. Remember, Virginia at the time,
Hmm. Yeah.
that were admitted to the Union as the state of West Virginia. So they were one of the original ones, because I know a lot of people let's see.
Are you struggling to read your handwriting?
Well, no, what it was, I got a message from Carla.
Oh, okay. Is
But
she
but
gonna be
but
on with us?
yeah, we're going to try to do it a little bit later this morning.
Okay, that'll be perfect.
But that was one of those things. I was like, oh, there's our guest. But so it was one of the Virginia counties. I think a lot of people don't realize that when West Virginia was admitted, not every county that's currently in West Virginia
Hmm.
joined at once. So if you
Oh,
look at
okay.
like historical maps, like for example, Mingo County was the last county to come over from Virginia.
Really?
So you have there were some counties that kind of didn't want to swing over at first, but they did eventually. Um, you know, it's according to the Census Bureau, county has a total area of 512 square miles, and 506 of those is land, and 6.1 square miles is water. Just thinking about Wayne County, all of our great areas in there. One thing that I love about Wayne County, it's located in Wayne County, gives me a lot of great memories.
What's that?
Camden Park.
Camden Park is in Wayne County. Is that
Camden
place
Park
still
is in
open?
Wayne County. It is still open. I think it's hanging on by a thread and duct tape at this point, but but it's still open. I mean, I know it's kind of one of those things now. Young people now look at it and go like, and I get it. It's a little bit not what it used to be, but back then, it was amazing.
That was the place to go, like for coal miners. That was like one of the, with an exception of the Massey Energy thing that they used to do in Logan.
Yes.
That the summer outing, like they used to do stuff at Camden Park as well. I remember when my dad was working in the coal mines, like they would have get-togethers, and he would always take us, and they'd have like special drawings to where, if they drew your number, drew your name, you could get like a cassette player. At the time, that's how old I am, and or a CD player, or different prizes and stuff. So, yeah, I definitely remember the good days at Camden Park.
Oh yeah. I mean, like, it's hard to imagine for people who miss those days, but I mean, you could go there some days and it would just be packed. And there
Oh
were
yeah,
more
absolutely.
rides, and not all the rides were broken down. I mean,
Hmm.
it really felt like a real functional amusement park. Of course, Kings Island stuff was always the bigger deal, but
Kings Island and Cedar Point as well.
yes. Although Cedar Point, back when I was younger, wasn't as big of a deal, but it did
Hmm.
become a huge
I
deal.
think one of the reasons why it wasn't as big of a deal is probably because it was a little bit further of a drive. I
It
think
was,
Kings Island is like 4 hours, and Sandusky, Ohio was maybe 6 or 6.5, depending on how you drove on the roads.
yeah, and we, when I was growing up, it was a little bit different too. Like the roads were not what they are now.
Hmm.
It would take a lot longer to get to a lot of places.
And
So
plus, back then we didn't have GPS. I mean, we had GPSs in like maybe early 2000s, but a lot of times you had to pay to update them, and sometimes the maps wouldn't be right. So between that and using a physical map, it would be a little more difficult to get there and take a little bit longer.
a little update on our guest. Carla's going to
Hmm.
have to cancel today, but she's going to
Okay.
try to get with us. We're going to try to bring
Okay,
her
that'll
on
be
tomorrow.
perfect.
That will be perfect.
All
But
right.
back to Wayne County. And the glorious, listen, man, the Big Dipper at Camden Park, that was as big as it got when I was like 10, 11 years old. And then they added the Thunderbolt Express, which used to be the Screaming Demon at Kings Island.
Yeah.
You remember that one at all, JJ?
The Screaming Demon at Kings
Draw a
Island.
loop. It used to be the Screaming Demon at Kings
Ah,
Island. And when
the
Kings
rides
Island
that stand
sold
out
it,
to me. Yeah, I'm trying to
what?
think. I don't know if I remember that one. When I think of Kings Island, I think of like the Beast and the Son of Beast. Some of those rides,
Well,
the wooden roller
yeah,
coasters.
yeah. I never wrote it as the Screaming Demon, but I know it was the Screaming Demon.
Uh
And
huh.
they brought it here, repainted it, Thunderbolt Express, and it was there for a bit. I think it always had some issues, but what a great ride. When I was 10 years old, 11, 12, can't remember exactly when they brought that in, to be honest, but I remember
Mhm.
something with a loop at Camden Park seemed unheard of, but
Yeah. I think it was a red roller coaster that they had. I can't remember the name of it, but it was
I
like
think it was.
whenever you first walked into, like, you looked to your right, and it was the biggest roller coaster that they had. It wasn't very big, but it was still the biggest one that,
It was definitely the
in
tallest
that
one
area.
because it
Yeah.
was one of those that shot you through the loop and you got to the other
Mhm.
side and it shot you backwards through the loop.
Yeah.
And so it was definitely a fun coaster. But I think eventually they had too many issues with it and it's gone now too. And then what's the scariest ride at Camden Park?
What's that?
The sky lift.
Is it because of it being legitimately scary, or is it because of it being scary because you're afraid it's going to break?
Probably the latter, and then the safety restraint is this
Mhm.
little bar
Yeah.
that you could slide under the bar. Let's be honest with you. You could slide under that bar. Um, I was on there. I remember being on a school trip, and they gave you a buddy based on like last name. So there
Mhm.
was this. So they split up. That no one got to pick their buddy. They just like you're with this person. You go ride rides with this person.
Right.
And this one girl, her last name started with a C, so mine starts with a D. So you know,
Just
worked.
alphabetical.
So we rode the sky lift, and I remember she was kind of just feeling her feet, and one of her shoes went flying off down to the bush outside the park.
Did she recover it?
Yeah, we did have to go out and recover it. We had to talk to people, and they're like, yeah, whatever. But still, I remember like here she was limping around on one shoe for like a few minutes till we could locate it. But that stuck in my mind.
Hey, if
But
anybody in the comments section has a memory of their favorite memory of Camden Park or amusement park in general, feel free to let us know.
absolutely, we do love amusement parks. But back to the rest
Yeah.
of it, um, some of the decent counties, are, of course, Lawrence County,
Mhm.
Cabell County, which is so the city of Huntington is mostly in Cabell County, but some of it is in
Uh-huh.
Wayne County. So it's one of those little weird situations where technically like Camden Park, for example, is in Huntington, but it's the
Mhm.
Cabell County part of Huntington.
Yeah.
And then of course there's Lincoln County is a borders Lincoln County, Mingo County, which just down the road. I'll
Mhm.
drive 2 minutes and I'll be in Wayne County. Um, Martin County, Kentucky, Lawrence County, Kentucky, and Boyd County, Kentucky. So a lot of neighbors there, but it's absolutely there's a lot of great people from Wayne. I'm going to mention some notable people here in a minute, but one that I wanted to mention, um, I don't know how many people remember the football program at Sarita Canova, the CK Wonders.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with them. You have to educate me.
Well, multiple time state champions, you know, many times state champions. They actually still, I believe, Wheeling Central may have caught up to them by now. But there was a coach there, Carl Ward, who just
Mhm.
passed away a few years ago. Um, but he was absolutely one of the best coaches that you had ever come across. Had that program rolling, and man, it was just incredible.
Yeah, you said they won how many state championships?
He won. I want to say he won 11.
That is wow. That is
Let me make sure. So they reached the playoffs 16. They won 10. They won 10. They won another one after he had left.
And does this school still exist, or is
It does not. It
it
does
doesn't?
not. It's actually a part of Spring Valley now. So that community is. But
Isn't it
man,
crazy that a team that could be so dominant just doesn't even have a school anymore? I mean,
the CK Wonders, man, I tell you, But they won titles in 1963, 65,
Mm-hmm.
67, 71, 74, 75, 78, 80, 81, and 83.
So they had won any in the 90s or the 2000s or 2010s?
They did win in the 90s. Todd just mentioned, I was going to bring that team up, Todd. It was a
Mm-hmm.
team that he wasn't a part of, but that 94 CK, he says that 94 CK football team was the best high school football team in West Virginia he's ever seen. I don't know if it's the best I've ever seen. It's definitely the best single A team I've ever seen. And I
They were
believe
single.
in 1994. Well, they were single A at that point.
Mm-hmm.
The other titles I mentioned were all double A. But
So did Mate One get a chance to play against this team, Todd? See if you'll comment and let us know.
Yeah. But the 94 team in single A was absolutely, I really truly believe that team would have had a chance to have beaten any team that year. And yeah, I know Mate One had some battles with that team.
Yeah, it looks like you said, yeah, they did get a chance to play against them. Let's see, several times. I'll be curious to know how they did against them because Mate One had a lot of really good teams during that time period as well.
Mate One did. And I mean, Todd probably remembers that 94 team, like he mentioned them.
Mm-hmm.
That entire, I think their entire line, because they played a lot both ways back then, a lot of kids, or they still do, but like that CK team had a lot of linemen both ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say they had 4 linemen play Division I football somewhere, that team.
Oh, wow.
So they got up there and just mauled people. And I mean, I saw them up close and personal, and that was one of the nastiest teams I've seen.
So it looks like you said in 1993, CK beat Mate One 19-0, and then Mate One beat them 12-8 in the semifinals. So that just goes to show if they're one of the nastiest teams that you guys have ever seen, just for Mate One to beat them when it counted the most, I mean, that's really impressive.
Yeah. Then he says, here later he follows up with first loss Mate One had in 3-4 years at home. Then CK beat Mate One 33-0 twice in 94. First game of the season in the semis. Mate One gave them best game of the season. Almost had them tied 0-0 at the half. That defense, and Todd can remember that defense on that CK team was unreal. It was like I said, their defensive line just mauled everyone. I mean, teams couldn't keep them out of the backfield. If they dropped back to pass, the quarterback was always under duress, and running on them almost felt like it was a futile attempt.
Yeah.
But of course, there's a strong history of great football there in Wayne County, and not just with CK. Wayne's won several state titles. We're very fortunate to see a lot of really good football from that county. Tulsa has had some really good teams at different times. I know that things have been a little bit down the last couple of years, but they've had some excellent teams, made trips. They had a trip to the championship game. But some more notable people other than Carl Ward, and Coach Ward passed away 2 or 3 years ago, I want to say.
Rest in peace.
Yeah,
absolutely.
At the age of 91.
Hey,
really
that's a lifetime. That's awesome.
Really great guy. I got to know Coach Ward a little bit after he was done at CK.
Mm-hmm.
But really great guy. But some notable people there's let's see, Mariko Elizabeth Alley. She's a Filipino American International Association footballer and a member of the Philippines women's national team.
Oh, is she still? You said a member like right now, or a former member?
Currently, it says she is a member.
Oh, wow!
But I know how those international teams can kind of be a bit of a fluid situation. So, there's former Major League Baseball player Jeff Baldwin. There's another former Major League Baseball player, Don Robinson. I remember Don Robinson. Do you remember him?
That name sounds really familiar. Is that? Wow. That sounds like maybe like a Cincinnati Reds name, or you say Don Robinson or Don Larson?
Don Robinson.
Oh, Don Robinson. Is it he played
He
for
was
the
a
Dodgers
pitcher.
or?
He was a pitcher. I know he had some time with the Pirates, and I want to say the Giants and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
A solid major league pitcher for a good long while.
Wonder if he was on any of those World Series teams that won with the Giants, or didn't the Pirates win a couple in the 70s as well?
Yeah, but he would have been a little bit. He may have been a little bit afterwards. He did win. He did get one of the. He was on one of those Pirates teams in '79 because he came in right at the end of the '70s. So, 1979 World Series champion. So
that is awesome. He got to play with Roberto.
I think Roberto would have been. Let's see. I'd have to look up when Roberto Clemente passed away.
Yeah, I was trying to figure that out as well.
He would have been like with Willie Stargell.
Mm-hmm.
Probably Dave Parker would have been on that team.
Yeah,
it'd be the We Are Family Pirates. That whole thing.
Yeah.
Then there's Michael W. Smith. Famous Christian musician and pastor.
Mm-hmm.
There's Bobby Joe Long, who was a serial killer. You can look him up. We're not going to talk about all the stuff Bobby Joe Long did.
Yeah, you got dark.
Yeah. He's notable. Doesn't mean he's good. He's notable.
I thought this was a kid's show.
Well, Bobby Joe Long changed that for the moment.
Yeah.
And then there was Blaze Starr, was originally born in Wayne. Was originally from Wayne County. She was an American burlesque star, and she was known for her affair with Louisiana Governor Earl Kemp Long, and there was a movie made about her as well.
Oh, wow.
So, was famous in that line of work. But, Wayne County is absolutely just, it's a gorgeous county and a lot of great people. And they're basically they're mountain people like all of us, and we love our time there and stuff. And I know they always treat us well wherever we go up there, and we're always really appreciative of them. But that's pretty much what I have for Wayne County today.
Hey, I think you did a really good job. I mean, you're just like Darryl. Like Darryl finds all these facts. Like he'll give me the exact same assignment. For example, he'll say, give me some facts on Lawrence County, and I'll go. So I'll type some in, and I'll find maybe one or two, and it's usually the year that they were founded, and maybe the amount of people that live there. But I can never find any interesting facts the way that you guys do.
Oh, we look it up, and the neat thing about it is, when like some of the sports figures and stuff, and you get to know some of them a little bit, those things stick in your head a bit over the years,
Yeah.
So I'm really, like I said, like Coach Ward from CK, I was fortunate to get to know him after CK.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure if someone was around that program while he was there, that would have been something to see.
Yeah.
But just a great coach, really good guy.
Mm-hmm.
But he actually came down and helped out for a year or two at Tug Valley as an assistant, helped one of his former players who was coaching at Tug, Barry Scragg. And so, but again, really good guy, just knew the game of football inside and out.
Yeah. Well, it looks like, let's see, Carla Connor, she says, how cool Michael W. Smith was born in Wayne County. He is a huge Christian singer.
He is.
Yeah.
And he is very well known. I think it's called I want to say like Dove Awards or whatever. I'm not as familiar with the award system, but I know he's won a bunch of that. And he's really big. He's really big with that. He's really big in that whole little area of music. So I know a lot of people love listening to him. And,
I'm not really familiar with a lot of Christian artists. I mean, growing up, I listened to Kirk Franklin. That's about as far as I went. But I can imagine the quality of musicians there are out there that are in that genre.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Um, and I think we were probably getting close to having Jackson on with us here.
Yeah, I believe it's was it 9:15 that he's supposed to come on, or is it 9 o'clock? Which
9:15.
one?
I'm really looking forward to that
9:15?
conversation with
Yeah,
him.
absolutely. And for me, like I said, it's surreal because like I said, I played ball with his dad, numerous open gym sessions, and I remember he'd always talk about his son, and it's like he was always at his hip, and now he's almost like taller than him, if not taller than him. So that's to me, that's crazy. It just shows up how old we're getting and how and how fast time catches up to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Something else that I wanted to bring up a little bit. We kind of talked about it a little after the show yesterday.
Hmm.
People who are into like the whole drag racing thing, drag racing legend John Force
Oh.
is was in a really bad crash,
Hmm.
and JJ he's 75 years old, and I mean like it kind of sometimes makes you wonder maybe if it was just time, we should hang it up or whatnot. I'm not a big drag racing fan, but that's one of those names that I know. So if I know of that
Hmm.
name, I know how big of a deal he is.
Yeah.
Um, but what are your thoughts on someone, when someone who's, when they get up there a little bit? And I know it's a tricky subject because when I was like 18 years old, I thought like 40-year-old guys were getting old.
Hmm.
Now I'm 46. I'm like, I don't know.
Well, I'm
So
35, so I'm right there with you. I mean, yeah, and I feel it every single day. So, but somebody at 75 driving, I mean, I don't want to say they're too old to drive because there's plenty of people out there that are still very strong mentally. What I would say is, the average person I think lives to be 78, or I don't know if that statistic has went up or it's went down. But when you get to an age where you're close to the average number where somebody passes away, maybe give them some sort of test every single year to see if they're still mentally able to drive.
well, but it's more like it wasn't just like a traffic accident. It was a
Hmm.
racing accident.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure, listen, I'm sure if he's out on the road just driving, he'd probably be about the safest driver on the road.
Yeah.
Although
Hmm.
being around a couple of racers, sometimes that foot likes to go down a little bit much, even on the
Yeah.
road. If
I mean, how well are how good is your peripheral vision when you get at that age? Your alertness, if that's the proper term. I mean,
it's a dangerous enough sport.
yeah.
It's a dangerous enough sport where maybe someone who is 75 may not need to
Hmm.
be doing it anymore. For the same thing about like NASCAR or any other type of racing. I think there's a day where you kind of go, but at the same time, man, everyone's different. And if someone is still able to do it, then, but I tell you, I feel really bad for him. I feel bad for his family. I know he's still
Absolutely.
struggling. Uh, but,
When you get 75, my question is like, are you doing it for the love of the sport? Are you doing it for financial purposes? I mean,
I
what's your
think you have to be doing it for the love of the sport. I
yeah.
really do. I mean, maybe it could be finances. Someone like him's not doing it for finances.
Hmm.
I'm sure he's had enough in career winnings. He's probably great. And I think his children are involved as well and all that. I think it's a whole family thing at this point.
Yeah.
And so, but absolutely though, he's definitely not, hurting, probably, or well, you never know anyone's finances. I doubt he is hurting financially, but you never
Hmm.
know.
Absolutely. Well, it looks like it's 8:59 and we've, almost at the 9 o'clock mark. So we'll go ahead and take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we'll have Jackson very shortly and we'll pick up where we left off. Is that cool with you?
That sounds magnificent.
All right, that's perfect. We'll be back shortly live on the D&D Sports Network with the Morning Startup Show.
Where it all started, right here on this farm. We may have grown over the years, but we've never lost sight of what was important to us. We're continuing that tradition today, and we always will be for generations to come.
Bruce Walters from Bruce Walters Kia. By now, you know Kia is a great vehicle. You know they come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. So why should you buy from Bruce Walters Kia? At Bruce Walters Kia, we're going to change your oil for free for life. And what you do with that money you save is up to you. Come check out the 2022 Kia Carnival and the 2021 Kia Sorento. Only at Bruce Walters Kia in Pikeville. Or shop us online at brucewalterskia.com.
Buy Oceana Discount Tobacco today. Nobody can beat Oceana Discount Tobacco's great prices or their great services. You're treated like family from the second you walk through the door. We want to thank Oceana Discount Tobacco for sponsoring today's events. Go follow them on Facebook.
Law High School. Continue to follow D&D Sports, best coverage in the mountains.
And we are back on the Morning Startup Show. I'm JJ Pruitt, and I'm with my co-host Bradley Dameron. And we want to thank our sponsor, Double Quick. And during the commercial break, you sent me a text message and said that you may have a story that you want to talk about before we bring Jackson on. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, seeing a story that's just kind of breaking this morning, on ESPN.com, where Paul George said he never wanted to leave the Los Angeles Clippers, but the negotiation, on the extension, with the Clippers was, he called it surprisingly disrespectful first offer, and that kind of seems to be the catalyst for him heading towards the 76ers.
Okay, that's interesting because, I'm thinking, what has this success rate been like in the postseason?
Not great.
Okay, in the last 2 or 3 years, how far have they made it to the playoffs? I mean, first round, second round. Has he been healthy?
I mean, Paul George has always been an excellent two-way player, but I've never felt like he was the guy, right? Like he was the guy who could carry a team on his back. Now he is going to a situation where maybe he could blend in a bit, and maybe not be the guy, but be a guy. But
right.
Honestly, I feel like he's in a better situation. Of course, the Sixers have to get by the Celtics. Right now, that's a pretty tough proposition. I mean, at least for next year.
Absolutely. And that Celtics team is so deep. I mean, one of the things that stood out to me the most was game one of the NBA Finals. It was either game one or game two when Kristaps Porzingis just came out of nowhere and scored the first 12 or 13 points or something. I mean, I could be wrong, but it was.
He came off the bench and kind of went on a tear in the first quarter.
And that's not even your best player on the roster. I mean, that's that just goes to show how deep that they are. And him doing that at 7-2 or 7-3, I mean, that team's going to be tough to beat.
Well, and there was some talk as whether or not Al Horford was coming back, and he says he's coming back. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, if I was Al's age, I probably would. Well, I'm past Al's age, but if I was Al's age and a professional basketball player, I think I would take the money and go out on top. But he's going to get more money next year, so I'll also get that. He has a chance to win a couple of titles, but he finally got his ring. But Al's coming back, and the whole team is loaded, and they're coming back.
Do you think that because a lot of people complain about the run that they went on this year in the NBA playoffs, mentioning that some of the teams that they faced sustained a lot of injuries? I mean, for the most part, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't they play? Didn't Joel Embiid get injured in the playoffs against them, or?
No, they didn't play Embiid, but
he got injured.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler was injured. The East was basically injured.
Kind of like 2020. So kind of like 2020 when the Lakers won the championship and everybody called it the Mickey Mouse ring because of how bad the run was that the rosters that they had to play and stuff like that.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's so
you play who's in front of you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Jason Tatum was hiding out with a crowbar and whacking people on the knee. I mean, people went down, and part of the game is conditioning and staying healthy. And quite frankly, I'll say this about Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is a fantastic basketball player, But that man spends so much time bouncing and flying to the floor and trying to draw fouls that I think he actually wears his body down more doing that than if he tried to play through it. And I think Luka is kind of the same way. Luka was very banged up in the finals. There was a lot of stuff made about that. Well, Luka's always falling down somewhere and looking at the ref. I mean,
if you look at his finals numbers, weren't they pretty good?
Oh,
I mean, for
they
the
were
most
great.
part, yeah.
They were
So
fantastic.
I mean, but even then, it's like, okay, you're from game 1 to game 5 or game 6, however far. I think, was it 5 games? I believe.
It went 5, yeah.
Yeah, from game 1 to game 5. I mean, you put up numbers every single game. So, I mean, you may have been injured, but it's kind of hard to convince everybody else that played a huge factor. And
the biggest factor for Luka was his style of defense was go on by. I mean, go around. That was Luka's style of defense. Now, was some of that due to injury? Possibly. But it's a bad look when there were a couple times where Jaylen Brown just blew
past
by
him like it was nothing.
Yeah, and I mean, he needs to work on that. He doesn't have to be an all-world defender, but he needs to be serviceable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's what you need to do to be considered one of the greats. Like, the great ones can play on both sides of the ball.
They can. That's why I reject the talk whenever people say he's the best player in the game. He might even be the best offensive player in the game. If someone wants to say that, I can see there's a pretty strong argument to that. But the best player in the game doesn't take the defensive side off.
No.
And he needs to really work on that. And now if he becomes serviceable, I mean, suddenly, you look at the Mavs, they're going to be a lot better. I think that was one of the big differences was that the Celtics could guard everyone one-on-one.
Yeah.
And the Mavs had to try to hide Luka.
So I think there was another, I can't remember if we talked about it yesterday, another free agency, DeMar DeRozan. Did we talk about him?
We briefly mentioned it, but we didn't go into detail.
Yeah. 3-year, $74 million deal with the Kings.
And the Kings look like a decent little team right now, don't they?
Yeah. They've always, for the last couple of years, they've always had a really solid team. I mean, maybe just one piece away from getting over the hump for the most part, but from top to bottom, they've got a really good roster, and they're young, and they're hungry as well.
The West is just such a tough conference right now.
Which that's the way it's always been. Whenever I was growing up in the 2000s, it was always the West. I mean, let's see, from 2000 to 2009, let's see, you had the Lakers, they won 3, the Spurs won 3. Or the Lakers won 5, the Spurs won 3, and then I think the Heat and the Celtics and the Pistons won the other 3 from 2000 to 2010.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
I don't have it in front of me, but
yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, JJ.
Yeah, it wasn't in that order. I mean, I know the precise order, but yeah, for the most part, the West has always dominated. I mean, for the last however many years.
Although, if you look back in the 80s, it was very different.
Okay, let's see. 80, the Lakers won 5. And
but but as far as just how the conferences went, what people looked at it then as the Lakers and everyone else. Now there was the occasional, like the Rockets would make it or something, but it was pretty much the Lakers and and the Rockets occasionally poking in there and reminding everyone that they're still playing. But the East, the Celtics, the 76ers, especially at the beginning of that.
Oh yeah, that rock the baby dunk that Julius Erving got. Who did he get that on? Michael Cooper, or was it?
I can't remember that one.
Yeah, that was a really nasty play.
I've seen the play, but just for recalling who was against.
I think that was in 1983. I think Moses Malone was the Finals MVP that year.
Malone was fantastic. Yeah, Moses Malone kind of gets lost in a bit of the history, but absolutely one of the best players to ever play.
Yeah, phenomenal. I think he was one of the only few players to win like 3 or 4 regular season MVPs.
Yeah, something like that. But here's the thing, though. So then the Celtics really dominated the middle part of the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And then as the end started coming in, that's when the bad boy Pistons started.
Yeah, when Bird's back went bad.
Yeah. I mean, listen, the Pistons, man, people don't talk about them enough, but that was a mean team. They
Yeah,
were
I mean,
nasty.
not a lot of great offensive players, but they were menaces on the defensive side.
And they beat you up. Bill Laimbeer is still my least favorite player ever. And, I'll tell you something about Bill Laimbeer. There was a game where Robert Parrish just got fed up and just started punching him.
I remember. I don't remember that game because I was alive, but I remember watching the highlights of that game.
Well, here's the thing about it. The rest didn't even call foul.
Yeah, because
they just sat and watched Robert Parrish pound on him, and they were probably, I guess they were just so fed up with Laimbeer, they just went like, "All right, yeah, he deserved it," and just went on.
No blood, no foul. I mean, that's how they used to play back then. It was prison basketball. I mean, even when I was growing up, whenever you played pickup basketball, I mean, I never called a foul. If somebody fouled me, like if you're not going to call it, I'm just not going to say anything. I'm just going to let it go. Yeah, that's how we always played, and it's much different today.
But I think we're almost ready for Jackson to hop on.
Is Jackson ready to come on?
I think he's almost ready.
Okay, well, as soon as he gives the go, I mean, we'll go to commercial break, and we'll have him on here. It looks like David Jones is tuned in, brother. I really appreciate you tuning in, and I'm ready for you to come on another interview with me.
Absolutely. Well, I can't wait to talk to Jackson here in a minute.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. I'm looking forward to seeing where his head's at, and okay, all right, looks like he's done. So we're going to go to commercial break, and as soon as we come back, we're going to have Jackson Ninny Mills. All right, we will be back shortly live on the D&D Morning Startup Show.
It all started right here on this farm. We may have grown over the years, but we've never lost sight of what was important to us. We're continuing that tradition today, and we always will be for generations to come.
Bruce Walters Kia. By now you know Kia is a great vehicle, and you know they come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. So why should you buy from Bruce Walters Kia? At Bruce Walters Kia, we're going to change your oil for free for life. And what you do with that money you save is up to you. Come check out the 2022 Kia Carnival and the 2021 Kia Sorento. Only at Bruce Walters Kia in Pikeville. Or shop us online at brucewalterskia.com.
North High School. Continue to follow D&D Sports, best coverage in the mountains.
And we are live on the Morning Startup Show, and we want to thank our sponsor, Double Quick. And we've got a special guest today, and man, this is surreal because I remember when you was like this big. So like to see you fully grown up, man, it's surreal because I used to play basketball with your dad all the time, and he was a phenomenal player. And man, it's a pleasure to finally meet you, man.
Yeah, you too. Thank you guys for having me on here.
Hey, man, you're welcome. And first of all, your head coach is a good friend of mine, Coach Jones, and he mentioned to me that whenever you was younger, you actually went to one of his football camps. So tell me what it's like, looking back on, going to his football camp versus playing with him today as your head coach. Like, is that somewhat of a surreal moment to you?
Yeah, it kind of is because, at the time, I was at Lenore, but, I planned on being at Tug Valley. I went to his camp and, did all of that. Then I took a picture with him after or whatever and, never thought nothing of it. Never thought I'd be playing for him or anything. And then, this year, that was one of the first things, that like me playing for him reminded me of was that picture. So I was like, it's just pretty cool to go back on that.
Absolutely. And, I spoke to him on the phone last night and I was, saying, what can you tell me about him? And that's one of the things that he brought up. He said, man, I actually got a picture of him whenever he was at my camp. And I was thinking, yeah, we're all getting old for sure. But I've had a chance to see some of your highlights. And, some of the things that I noticed is you have a really strong arm. You're mobile when you need to be. And you're also a lefty as well. Is that correct?
Yep.
So whenever you was growing up, did you did you look up to some of the other lefty quarterbacks? Did you try to model your game after anybody specifically?
No, it was really natural, but like
Mm-hmm.
there's one quarterback. I know a lot of people hype him up and stuff, but I like the way Patrick Mahomes plays, and I was trying to
Yeah,
like model my game after that.
absolutely.
I think Mahomes is worth the hype though, Jackson. So that's a pretty good one to
Yeah,
model your
yeah,
game after.
Yeah, 3 rings already at like 26.
yeah,
You
yeah.
picked
He's
the
definitely.
perfect one for sure. So let me see. Coming into the season, I know that you're a transfer, obviously, and one of my questions to you is: have you had a chance to develop some chemistry with some of your teammates? Like, what has that been like, learning a new, offense and developing chemistry with your teammates as well?
Yeah, we had a 3 week conditioning last month, and the first week we started off a little slow, like we didn't do the greatest at the man 7-on-7, but we got in there the second week and we got after it. We realized like we wasn't playing as a team and everything. So the second week came in, we all was on the same page, practicing hard, focused in. Then that third week, it was like the last day of our 3 week conditioning. We had a 7-on-7 at WVU, and we went up there and we balled out. Like we played pretty good. And but yeah, I've made some pretty good friendships and stuff already with all the players and stuff. And we all have like the same thing in mind. We want to come out, win the first game, and then go on from there.
Absolutely. So, have you had a chance to see what your schedule is going to look like for this season? I know that they release them at certain times of the summer. So, have you had a chance to look to see who's on the schedule this year?
Yeah, I can't remember. I have a picture of it, but I know we got Tug first game. I know Chapmanville's on there. We got Scott, Liberty, Raleigh, uh, Logan's on there somewhere, West Side, Roane County, Independence, and then the 10th one, I can't remember. There's one left, but I can't remember it.
So, out of all of those teams, which one do you look forward to seeing the most? Like, is there a certain rivalry with Mingo Central and a couple other schools specifically, or like
Well,
where you're new to Mingo Central, are there rivalries that you're just not learning about?
well, I know the first game's going to be a good one,
Hmm.
Tug Valley, but
Oh yeah.
Uh, I know I was talking to a few of the boys. They said Roan's still going to be pretty good, Roane County, and they
Hmm.
said Independence, and then we have to, I'm pretty sure this year we have to go to oh, I can't remember, Point Pleasant. I think we have to go to Point Pleasant this year, so I think that'll be a pretty good one.
Oh yeah, I'm really excited to see all the games this year, and let's see. So I'm a little curious. Who was it that beat Mingo Central in the playoffs last year, the very final game? Like, do you guys get to play against them in the season as well, or is
I
that?
think that was Philip Barber, but I'm not sure. I don't think they're on our schedule or not.
Oh, okay.
No, Philip Barber knocked Mingo Central out last year. That team actually just suffered a tragedy as well.
Really, what happened?
One of the young men who was on that team passed away.
Oh, God bless
I think
the
it was an
family.
accident. I saw that pass by, but that was an excellent game last year. But Jackson, I just wanted to ask you. You're coming in, and Chris Ross, has departed, and he's gone on to play college ball at West Virginia State. What's that like? Stepping into the shoes, or trying to step into the shoes, I should say, of someone who was such a prolific passer like Chris Ross.
Ross was really good. We played against him in the first season last year, and he surprised me a lot. Like he did really great last season. I know that I think he had an injury in that Barber game. I think that's what really hurt him a lot. But
Yeah.
he did really good last year, and he's going off to play college ball now. So I've got big shoes to fill. Because he did a really good job last year.
And how have the 7-on-7s gone for you? I heard you had a really good 7-on-7 um, tournament like up in Morgantown.
Yeah, when we went to WVU up in Morgantown, we started off the first game. I don't remember all the teams we played, but we went through and we was all just playing together. I threw some good passes. Then our defense made some big stops. Our defense, they came together in that WVU 7-on-7. But in that last game, we played Huntington High, and first drive they drove down and scored, and then we come out, we drove down and scored. Then our defense stopped them. Then we tried driving back down again, couldn't get it in. But I mean, to play with a 4A powerhouse like we did in that game, it shows a lot of where we can be in the regular season.
And last year they started really. I mean, Mingo Central have been down a little bit, and Coach Jones came in last year, and they made some great strides. I know you weren't on the team last year, but you're coming in this year. Where do you see the team? Like, what's the next step you all want to take as a team?
I just feel like I just need to get comfortable, a lot more comfortable with like the offense and all of that stuff. But I'd say like our goal and where we want to be as a team. I mean, we just need to take it game by game and just focus on whatever team we're playing that week or whatever.
Absolutely. And how difficult is it, as a quarterback, how difficult is it to learn like a completely different offense compared to what you're used to? Does it
Well,
usually take you a minute to
it
do it, or?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It wasn't really bad at first because it was just going off like the playbook sheets, pictures or whatever, and
Hmm.
drawings. But once I started, I took pictures of it, and I just went home and I would like say the name of the play or just look at the routes and cover up the name and just try to learn it, and that helped me a lot. That's why I mean the first week it was hard for me to get my timing down on my throws because I didn't know where to expect my receivers to be. Then like midway through that second week of the conditioning, I started like whenever we would have defense on our offense, I wouldn't have to drop back and worry about where my receivers would be because I knew where they would be. I just have to, read my defense.
Yeah, so that
But it
chemistry is
was,
pretty much picking up pretty quick.
yeah, it wasn't too bad but when the regular season gets here, I got to get the hand motions and stuff down, but it shouldn't be a big deal.
Absolutely. So, do you know when your first practice again is? I know you guys are on a dead period, right?
Yeah, it's on the 23rd of this month.
Oh, the 23rd? Oh, wow. So I actually had a chance to watch a couple of your practices. Hopefully Jones is cool with me saying that. But one thing that stood out to me is like how competitive you guys are, like on the offensive side and the defensive side. I mean, I heard a lot of trash talk, but it was, you guys just pushing each other to make each other better.
Oh yeah, in practice we get on each other. Like if I throw a pick, I got to hear it from Shep and the defense. But now if we score, we giving it to them. We're giving it to them.
Absolutely. I mean, you guys are getting each other better at the end of the day. And, if you guys end up being one of the best defenses in the state, then it's like, well, if I can do this on my own defense, then, I'm not going to have any problems whenever, I play
Yeah,
against some of these other cats.
yeah.
Um, are there any teammates you've already developed a really good chemistry with, Jackson? I know when you're coming in, you're the new guy. That's kind of a big thing. You want to mesh with your new teammates.
Yeah, I made good friends with the linebacker Tegan Hackney.
Hmm.
Him and Aiden Burke. I've knew Aiden since I've been little, so me and him, once I came over, we just clicked. And then I've got guys like Bo Copley, and then or Bo Hatfield, not Bo Copley, and LaQuise Strother. Me and him talk a pretty good lot.
Hmm.
And some of the linemen too, like Logan Hurley, Riley Hatfield. Me and them have already gotten pretty close, and then I have Caden Porter. I like him. We're all. Well, I mean, I didn't expect it to. Because I was coming from Tug Valley, but once I got there, everybody treated me like a brother. So
Absolutely. And that's how it should be. Whenever you're not there, you're a rival. But as soon as you get there, it's like, well, this guy's going to help us win.
yeah,
So instead of, saying, "Oh, this is a Tuck Valley boy," or whatever they say, it's like, well, let's welcome him and let's all try to win a state championship.
yeah. I'd say that's our main goal for this year. I mean, I don't think that a trip to Charleston to play on Ledley Field isn't out of reach. Like
Mhm.
I think it's very possible for us this year.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, have you had a chance to do some research on some of the rosters from the previous year to see, like, okay, this team lost these guys, this team lost these guys. Like, we've got this amount of players back. So, like, have you had a chance to see how your roster stacks up against some of the other ones, or have you not had a chance to do some
Uh,
research?
no, I've not really had a chance to look at that. I've looked at some like regular season teams we're playing, like Roane County. Like they
Uh huh.
lost, I think it was non-starters last year, like seniors. And then some
Wow.
of them play both sides of the ball. So, I mean, I'll probably look more into that, but I haven't yet. No.
Hmm. So, are you somebody that do you play defense as well, or are you strictly on the offensive side?
I have played defense before. That's what I played my freshman and sophomore year, but I haven't played the past. Like I didn't play last year, and I don't know if I'll be playing this year or not. But
Do you miss playing defense?
God, yeah, defense is fun, man. It really is.
Yeah. So, what position did you say you played on defense?
I played linebacker.
Oh, you play line. Oh, wow. Yeah, you.
So
So,
you
who are
miss
some of the
hitting people.
linebackers? Yeah, he
Yeah,
missed.
that's the fun part.
He misses. When you're a quarterback standing back there, you don't get to deliver a lot of punishment. You're trying to avoid it, but so you miss actually being on the other side, being
Yeah.
able to nail some people.
Yeah, which I'm not scared to hit, like being like at quarterback or nothing. Like if I have to tuck it and I have to take a hit, like I'm ready. I'll hit anybody. It don't matter how big they are. I'm not
Or,
scared, you know.
or if you accidentally throw a pick, you're you're gonna go try
Oh
to hit them.
yeah, yeah, that'll get me
Yeah,
fired up real good. That'll get me mad. I will hit somebody.
yeah.
I love that. I
Man,
love that.
yeah, absolutely.
Um,
Yeah. You
Jackson,
got any more
do you
questions,
have
Jack?
like any pregame rituals or anything like to get ready for a game? Like anything you do, any music, anything like that?
Oh yeah, I always like to have music going. Like either it doesn't matter if it's like rap, but now most of the time I like hearing some rock right before a game. Like I like hearing rap up until like right before the kickoff, like in the locker room, like right before we go out, and then I like hearing a little bit of rock.
So give us some of
Who?
your songs that you like. Like what kind of rap music do you like, and what kind of rock music do you like?
As far as rap goes, I'll listen to anything that has like an upbeat to it with some bass that just gets you,
Mm-hmm.
you know, pumping. And
Yeah.
then rock, I like some Skillet and some what's I think it's 5 door or 7 doors down or something like that, or 5 doors down. I'm not sure.
I think there's a band called
Three
Three
doors
Doors
down. Three
Down.
doors
Yeah.
down. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's got some good taste.
Yeah, yeah. He does have some good taste. I said they're going 3 doors down. Three.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
You're
can't
you're,
remember.
getting
I
you're
don't
getting
keep up
into
with the artists. I just like their songs. What is it?
that's fair. I was
So
just saying, man, you're getting into my a bit of my taste of music. So yeah, I can appreciate that type of stuff. So
I do got a question. Are you a hooper as well?
I would used to play basketball in middle school, but now I will play pickup every once in a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I like I said, I played with your dad a lot, and he was pretty tough back then. So I was wondering if you got any of his skills or not.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he can't handle me. I'm sure he's watching, but he can't guard me. So like,
Hey, Todd, you might want to comment on this.
and Todd, send in video of the game that's going to come today because or soon because like
Yeah, he's gonna hit you up and be like,
yeah,
son,
I think now y'all need to sell this in the driveway or something, man.
Now your dad's defense, like he would always show up with two ankle braces on, like a knee brace, and like he was always prepared just in
yeah,
case
I'm
you
the
got
same
injured.
way. I'm the same way with ankle braces.
Hey
Yeah,
man, you got to keep yourself healthy, man.
Yeah.
yeah. Your dad says he's going to lace them up, man. He's going to lace them up. It's
Hey,
time. It's
I'm
time to
ready.
go. You got to
I'm
prove
ready.
yourself here.
Hey, I'll go ahead and give you a tip. Your dad's got one move, and as soon as he gets the ball, he'll do the pump fake, and then he'll do a step back. And if you can time it just right, you can block him every time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He'll be mad to hear that, but it's the truth. So, what are some of your favorite sports movies that you like? Did you ever watch any like growing up? Did you have any certain ones that you like to watch?
I always like The Blind Side a lot, which it's
That
a classic.
yeah.
Other than that, I don't really watch movies, but like I like keeping up with like legacies of teams and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm a big Steelers fan, so going back and watching highlights of like all of the older guys, Major Harris and all of them guys plays.
Oh
I
yeah,
like doing that.
absolutely. What's your favorite Super Bowl memory? Like I know we all have one as fans and stuff. Like my favorite memory is probably Super Bowl 51, the 28-3 lead that the Falcons blew.
Yeah. Well, whenever the Broncos and Seattle played a few years back, I
Oh, so
was a
yeah, that was a blowout too, wasn't it?
yeah, I was a Seattle fan, and Dad was a Broncos fan. So it's like we were sitting there watching it, and that was probably the last time I've watched a full Super Bowl until this past year with the Chiefs and the 49ers.
Well, you definitely picked a good time to watch one because I'm pretty sure this was the second one to ever go into overtime.
Yeah, yeah, it
Yes,
was a good
that
one.
was yeah, it was almost like it was scripted, but we know that it wasn't, but it was just the way it played out. Like it was a
Yeah,
heck of a game. Absolutely. You think they got a shot to three-peat this year?
I'm sure they do. I mean, they've got plenty of talent. A bunch
Didn't
of
they
young,
just
it's just like a young roster too. So I mean, it's not like none of
didn't
them are
they just
getting
sign
around.
somebody recently? I can't remember who it was. I think it was a wide receiver. I can't remember who his name was, but I heard that they signed a really good receiver.
No, I'm not
They
sure. Really.
drafted. They drafted. I can't remember. I think it was Xavier Worthy out of Texas. I want to say that may be his name. But they drafted like the fastest receiver in the draft because that's what Mahomes needed. He needed
Yeah,
the guy who could run past everyone. I mean, you know, that's what he needed was another fantastic weapon. He doesn't have any of those.
yeah.
Yeah, for him to still be able to win with what he's got, I mean, that just shows how great
Oh
of a
yeah,
quarterback that he
yeah.
is. Yeah, absolutely. Well, man, what you got planned for the rest of the day? Like, what you got? What you got going on? You gonna get you a workout in?
Yeah, well, after this, I've got to go cut weeds up in here, and then this evening, me and Tegan and hopefully Aiden is gonna go.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna go hit the gym. That was the
Well, that's
plan.
awesome that you guys work out like during the off season together. I mean, that's a good way for you to build like the camaraderie with the team and stuff like that. Instead of just
Yeah,
saying, we got practice on July the 22nd. It's like, no, man, let's get in some work early on before we start practice and you
yeah,
know get our reps in and stuff.
yeah.
Todd's going to meet you at the gym with the shoes laced up.
Yeah, and the ankle braces.
Yeah.
Well, man, we don't want to keep you any longer, like, because we know you got work to do and stuff. But I'll definitely, whenever the practices starts, I'm gonna come up there and hopefully you and I can do a conversation in person. I know that David has he's got something that he likes to do. It's called the 100-yard walk or something, where he interviews you in person, I think.
Oh yeah,
Well, I'd like to do something different. So, I mean,
gotcha.
I'll reach out to you and, give you a couple of ideas that I have. But, I got a lot of fun things planned, man. And again, man, I really appreciate you coming on the show. And, be sure to tell your dad I said hello and, get a couple buckets on for me.
I will. Appreciate you guys.
Absolutely,
All right,
man.
thank you,
Hey, we're going to go to commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to finish our final segment. And again, Jackson, man, I really appreciate it.
All right, yeah, no problem. Thank you guys.
Yes, sir.
Coma Drug today and let them fill your prescription. Air Coma Drug has been serving the Chapmanville community for over 46 years. They're a proud supporter of the Chapmanville Tigers and all mountain athletes.
All started right here on this farm. We may have grown over the years, but we've never lost sight of what was important to us. We're continuing that tradition today, and we always will be for generations to come.
Walters Kia. By now you know Kia is a great vehicle, and you know they come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. So why should you buy from Bruce Walters Kia? At Bruce Walters Kia, we're going to change your oil for free for life. And what you do with that money you save is up to you. Come check out the 2022 Kia Carnival and the 2021 Kia Sorento. Only at Bruce Walters Kia in Pikeville. Or shop us online at brucewalterskia.com.
And we are back on the Morning Startup Show. I'm JJ Pruitt, and I've got my special guest, Bradley Dameron. And once again, I want to thank Jackson Ninny Mills for, coming onto the show and allowing us to interview him. And it looks like Glenita Booton, she's in the comment section. She says, "Great job, Jackson." It looks like Bobby Maynard is watching. And if that's the same Bobby Maynard that I went to high school with, I really appreciate you tuning in. And I wish you'd have tuned in a couple of minutes ago. You could have watched the interview, but man, I'm grateful for you, coming in and, watching this show today.
And Jackson looks like he's ready to go this year, man. He's he's geared up, and it'll be exciting to see what he does up there at Mingo Central.
Absolutely, and he's a very good kid. He's very well spoken, and I can, tell that he was raised the right way by his parents. And I'm like you. I'm really excited to see what he does, and I can't wait for the first practice.
I can't either. I'm sure Coach Jones is chomping at the bit to get going as well. I mean, listen, they have an opportunity to really be a strong football team up there at Mingo Central this year.
Mm-hmm.
And it will be very interesting to see how they do. I think last year was kind of the beginning of that program's turn around to come back towards the top. I mean, they've been to the top already, but yeah, I think they can. I think they can start rising back, or they started rising back up that direction last year.
Yeah, it's like they went to the top and then they, kind of petered down a little bit for a couple of years. And,
yeah,
and I think, and honestly think that now that, Coach Jones is here and a lot of our players are coming home, I really believe that, for as long as he's there and even beyond whenever he leaves, like I think that they're going to be a really good team. And, I think they're going to be somebody that you have to look out for each and every year.
And I do think they're getting to that, and the new classes and stuff. It's just going to be interesting to see how that all shakes out. I'm sure that Coach Jones is raring to go, and Jackson, you can tell he's ready to go.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I think we've got a great season ahead for us. Not only for D&D Sports Network, but
Yeah,
Mingo Central should be geared up for a great season as well.
absolutely. And I'm really excited to call some of them games this year. I've never personally called a football game, but I'm hoping that that may be one of the first ones I get a chance to do this year.
It's like riding a bike. You'll be
Yeah.
fine.
That's what I'm hoping for. Maybe you can come on and call the game with me for the very first one.
Yeah, and looking at the comments here, Jason Field says, I think we need to see a father and son showdown. Yes, I agree.
We can film it. We
When
go live,
the showdown happens, you need to get someone film it. I don't know, phone, put it up on a tripod. I don't know, do whatever. But we need to see video. We need to see who's best. So
they may play. They may play to 5. I think Todd may be good for 5 or 6 possessions, which he's always done a good job of staying in shape. So I mean, I think that he'll go down swinging if I know him. But in his defense, like his step back really is tough to block. Like I know I told Jackson that it's you can time it but you have to be perfect with your timing. I can count on one hand how many times I've been able to block it. And he's got the really high arc on his shot, and he don't miss very often from the corner.
Todd says no, sir. Going to play the best of 7.
There you go, because he's got to get warmed up the first 2 or 3 games, and then that's when he's going to make his comeback.
Oh man, well, JJ, we have a little bit of news from the wrestling world with some local flavor going on.
Really? Well, see, I'm a diehard wrestling fan, so anytime you find like some local news of somebody that's doing well in that field, I'm really, what kind of news do you have for us?
Well, she goes by Nurse Micah. She's from Man.
From where I live. Okay.
Yeah, over in your neck of the woods. We have a picture, I believe, of Micah. But she's the first Regatta Pro Wrestling Women's Champion.
Mm-hmm.
I know that. Listen, I sometimes go watch local shows. But anyway, I've seen her perform well. She's really popular with the local crowd. And so I mean, she does a very good job, and it's always exciting to see local people do well in something which may not be sports, but it's definitely athletic, and she definitely takes a lot of training and conditioning.
So what are the chances that we could possibly get an interview with her within the coming days? Do you think that you may be able to get a hold of her for us to, have a conversation with?
We are currently working on that, so we will see what we can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm really excited because, independent wrestling in general, a lot of times is some of the best quality wrestling. I mean, you may not have their characters may not fully be developed as far as like their microphone skills and things like that. But as far as the quality of in-ring performance, the indies is very tough to beat. I mean,
it is very tough to beat, and she does a magnificent job. And I know she has at several different promotions and stuff in the area. Do you have that picture for us, JJ?
I'm working on getting it uploaded. I'm having trouble getting it sent to the computer, but as soon as I get it uploaded, I will let you know. We're gonna work on that for a few minutes. But go ahead.
But no, we've it's always a fantastic time whenever you see someone locally, excel at something. Whatever it is, whether it's sports, whether it's business, whether it's maybe they're an author or something. Earlier we mentioned, when we were talking about Wayne, there's a fictional book that has the Wayne football program in the background by Todd Markham called Way Out Wayne.
Yeah.
I haven't read it yet. I want to read it because, I mean, come on. But
yeah, absolutely.
But when you have people who do things like that, you it's always great. We want to support local, whether it's local businesses, local athletes, local artists, local whatever. That's what we're here for.
Well, let me see if I can get this picture to upload. Let's see if I can get it to show on the screen. One sec.
There she is.
Yes. Oh, wow. Okay.
Her new belt. Yes.
Got the championship belt and everything.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's one of those things, congratulations to her. We know it's scripted. Or no, it's real. Wink, wink.
I think that Ric
But
Flair said it best. When people ask him if wrestling is fake, he says that we are professional stuntmen.
yeah, and I mean, it's real, but it's scripted. Does that make sense? Like it's
Absolutely. You know exactly who's going to win, but the thing about it is you have to have the ability to tell a story. You have to, and you got to think, like, when you're in the ring with somebody, knowing when to counter their moves, knowing, how long to stay on the ground after you sustain a hit, and knowing when to, shift the momentum to your next opponent, or to your opponent in general. I mean, there's so much stuff that goes into wrestling, like for anybody to be able to put on a 5 or 10 minute match, or to cut a good promo. Like, there's not many people that can do that. It's like, even on the microphone, like, if you're in front of 10 or 15,000 people, and you have the ability to keep them locked in and interested in everything that you're saying, that's not easy to do. I mean, for those out there that think that wrestling is just flat out, they just say, "Oh, it's fake." Like, no, there's so much more that goes into it. I mean, you enjoy watching films, don't you? You enjoy watching, like, one of my favorite movies, The Dark Knight. I mean, we know it's fake, but to be able to put something like that together, I mean,
I mean,
that's.
Batman's not out there, man.
I mean, Darryl, he's out there somewhere. He's out.
Daryl's
He's
out there
some.
somewhere. Hopefully,
He's
with another medal. He
Yeah, he's
better.
somewhere out there doing cannonballs, saving the world one cannonball at a time.
But no, man. We're all very happy for Micah, and congratulations to her.
Absolutely. And Micah, if you're watching this, please come on the show. If you get some downtime, we would love to hear more about your story, and possibly, help promote your, help promote your organization.
And JJ, we have some. We always have some other things going on. In the sports world. That's the thing about sports; it never stops.
No.
Have you watched any of Wimbledon, any tennis coverage?
I actually saw a story about Novak. I believe it was yesterday, whenever he was complaining about the crowd booing him too much or something.
Yeah, well, and Wimbledon's one of those places too where everyone's expected to be like all nice and friendly and never an
It's
issue. But
kind of like golf. Whenever you don't say anything, like, with an exception of the Tiger Woods effect. I mean, people swinging, after they get done swinging, you don't hear people cheering and stuff like that. It's more of like, it's proper. It's like, I
it
don't
is.
know any other way. Yeah, they have a certain
Um,
way that they do things. It's like, if you do something, it's golf clap, or something in that sense. And so I guess they broke a couple of unwritten rules.
yeah, but I mean, Wimbledon's always been a weird one for me. Always wear white, all that. I don't know. It's a weird little event. Tennis is a great sport, but it's just not. It's not one that always captures me. But now sometimes I get interested. I tell you what, I never will forget. I don't know if you remember a few years ago that John Isner Nicholas Mahut match.
No, you have to educate me on that one.
Wimbledon.
The only matches I know about are Novak, Rafael, and Roger Federer, because they've won like 60 of the last 80.
Yeah, I mean, well,
championships.
so the thing is, it was. I mean, it wasn't two guys who were going to win Wimbledon, but he had a match, and I'm trying to look it up. Yeah, so longest match in Grand Slam history, 2010. There was a match that they kept playing one day, was suspended, went the next day, the entire next day. Because in Wimbledon, when you get to the end, you have to it's a tiebreaker, but you have to win by 2. No one could get ahead by 2. So that final score, you see like things like 6-4, 7-6, whatever.
It's always going to be by 2?
Yeah. Well, the tiebreaker does, not the regular sets. But when you get to the end, the tiebreaker, you have to win by 2. So the tiebreaker ended up being 70-68. It went from June 22nd to June 24th, 2010. They'd play the
wow.
entire day and have to go off the court because it was getting too dark, and then come back out the next morning. And they kept going. I mean, just I became captivated by this. And this again is 2010. I'm not a tennis guy, but I knew that I was seeing something I'd probably never see again.
Mm-hmm.
And they just I would say if you ever get a chance to look it up, but that's a very
Yeah,
maybe look
absolutely.
at the highlights.
I'm
That's
a big
that's
yeah,
a
I'm a
very big
big fan of
commitment to watch the entire match.
yeah, I'm a big fan of history. So I mean, I'll definitely tune in and watch a couple. I'm not going to watch the full match, but I will watch some highlights.
I saw the full match, or at least I saw near the end of the match
A
until
third of it, maybe.
huh?
I said a third of it, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, and I saw the most of it because I think I saw all that tiebreaker.
Mm-hmm.
So, like every now and then, I'll grow wild hair and be like, "Oh, this is good. This is interesting. I'll watch it." Like I'm not a big golf fan either, but
Yeah.
like if it's the Masters and they're on the 16th hole,
Mm-hmm.
all right, I'll finish this up. I'll see who's winning this. So I do that a lot. And so I looked on this and I remember seeing it, and the next thing you know, I'm just watching it. And next day up, and that's the first thing I did was turn on the TV. Like, let's see these two guys. And then they played that whole day, and I watched them the entire day. And I was like, I got to get up tomorrow and watch them too. And so that's what I ended up doing.
So back to the Novak situation. So what was your biggest take on that?
I think it's one of those things where like there are some unwritten rules. There is a code of conduct. As a guy who loves like loud crowds, seems a little weird to me, but I also understand that culture is very different.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think, as fans, if you're expected to behave a certain way at an event, you should behave that way. At the same time, he's being paid a lot of money to go out there and play tennis, so maybe.
And plus, you're considered the best tennis player of all time for the most part.
Yes.
You've won 24 majors or 24 Grand Slam titles, and then on top of that, like your record is so much different than everybody else's. I mean, he's the only person to win the Grand Slam 3 times, which means you win every single major at least 3 times.
Yeah.
I think that Nadal's done it twice, like the 2-time all Grand Slam champion. And he's also, I think, the only men's tennis player to hold all 4 titles simultaneously on certain kind of grounds. So, I mean, he's been very, very dominant. And, I think he's 36, 37 years old. He may have a couple more, Grand Slam titles in him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I believe so. Tennis is one of those sports where it does seem like, though, whenever someone drops off,
Mm-hmm.
they really drop off and you don't know where that's going to be.
Yeah. And think about it it's like that's when I'm watching, they're just back and forth and back and forth. And I can imagine how much of a toll that takes on your body. And on top of that, having to constantly swing the tennis racket and stuff. I mean, I can imagine how fatigued people can become over the years.
Yeah, it's absolutely one of the most physically demanding sports. That match that I mentioned had to be like one of the most physically demanding athletic feats I've seen. So,
Mm-hmm.
another bit of news from the sports world. We've talked before about like a lot of our young athletes, they're going to end up going to like maybe not necessarily like Kentucky or WVU or Marshall.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean they can't, and doesn't mean they're not good enough. But sometimes, for whatever reason, they'll end up at like a U-Pike or Union or University of Charleston, West Virginia State, somewhere it's a smaller level, but still an excellent.
Absolutely.
Still, I mean, it's an excellent opportunity for anyone. And just to go out there and just want to show like guys who listen. I know some people. I've heard kids over the years, they'll get that offer from like a smaller school and they'll kind of scoff at it. Listen, you're getting an amazing opportunity, and just to kind of illustrate that, there was a gentleman who was named the National League Player of the Week this week for the Colorado Rockies, named Brenton Doyle. Brenton is a graduate of Shepherd University up in Shepherdstown, West Virginia. Never played Division I baseball, but was drafted by the Rockies, worked his way up through their organization, actually won a Gold Glove, his rookie year, which was last year. But admittedly struggled at the plate. I think he only hit something like 212 or something. I mean, it was not, not a great hitting year for him, but defensively, they said he was the best center fielder in the National League last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This past week for the Rockies, he tore it up. He hit 524. He's 600 on base percentage, slugging percentage of 1.286, and then 4 homers. Not to mention he's solidly a starter now. The batting average has come up on the season. I'm pretty sure it's over the 270 mark. I think it's between 270 280. But that's a guy who, who a lot of our younger listeners, and viewers, when you're growing up and you go to U-Pike, that's not the end of your dream.
No,
U-Pike has great
not.
coaches, and you can end up, you keep working your tail off, and you could end up, making it to the major leagues. And like him, he may not have made it, the first year out of the minors. I think he's in his mid-20s now, but here he is in his mid-20s and looking like he's going to have, barring injury, looks like he's set for a solid, major league career. And, it's an exceptional week, but,
And the thing about it is, like, I don't want to say it's easier to get into the major league with baseball by any chance, because I know that it's not. But, I think that out of all 3 sports, like football, basketball, and baseball, I would say that there are more opportunities to get there if you work hard. Like they will find you. Like there's a lot of minor leagues that you got what AA, single A, triple A ball.
Yeah, and not only do you have that, there are also independent leagues and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, the Charleston Dirty Birds up there, they're in the Atlantic League, which is an independent league, but it's a Major League Baseball affiliated independent league, and there are players all the time from that league who have their contracts bought by major league teams, and there are other independent leagues. So there are ways to break, especially in baseball, probably more so, you're right, than others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the last thing I want is people to think that I'm implying that it's easier to get there. I'm just implying that there may be a few more opportunities to get there than there would be in other sports.
Yes, I mean there may be, just because of the sheer amount of leagues. But but let's not forget though. I mean, there's also other basketball leagues. I mean, like
the
we
OPB
talk
Swish.
about, like tomorrow, hopefully the OPB Swish, in the WABA. There have been players who've gone from the WABA and gone to the WNBA. You think like in football, there have been players from like, arena football or the Canadian Football League or whatever, UFL now was the XFL. There have been players who've gone from that to play in the NFL. Kurt Warner was, before his Hall of Fame
bagging groceries, and then to the Arena Football League, and then to having one of the greatest rookie seasons ever.
And then not only that, but then he ended up with a Hall of Fame ring. He's got a Hall of Fame jacket now.
Yeah, so, I believe it was it his rookie season or his second season in the league? It was 1999 when he won the regular season MVP. He won the Super Bowl. He won the Super Bowl MVP. He's one of the very few people that have done that in the last 20 plus years. I think Patrick Mahomes may be one of the only people that have won the regular season MVP and won the Super Bowl MVP in the same season.
Yeah, Kurt Warner had one of the greatest, it was one of the greatest stories you'd ever see.
Yeah.
Because he was the MVP in 99. I don't know if he was considered I don't know if he was necessarily considered a rookie because, he wasn't, because he's on the Rams roster in 88 or 98. I mean,
yeah.
So he was on the Rams roster in 98. So it was the second season, but Trent Green was supposed to be the starter. for the Rams, and he was injured, and then the greatest show on turf, was born. It's still kind of weird to me. And Darryl's chiming in. Hope you're having a great vacation, buddy. But
oh, there he is. I was wondering where he was at.
So the Kurt Warner movie is very good.
Yeah.
And so that's an excellent film. But Kurt Warner, I think it's American Underdog. I want to say that's the right name of it.
Yeah, the ultimate underdog story.
Yeah, so Kurt Warner is one of the best success stories. But that's what I'm saying, though. Like, sometimes it doesn't matter where you start.
It's how you finish.
It is how you finish. And if you get that opportunity, it's still a life-changing opportunity, not just the education. I mean, let's not gloss over that. Let's not gloss over that at all. Getting a college education these days is so vital. And
a lot of people, like, there's a very select few people that actually get to play ball in the pros. Mm-hmm. So if you have the opportunity to get a full athletic scholarship and further your education, I mean, with the cost of college and things like that, like, it's so much higher than it used to be.
Yeah, you absolutely just want to, you want to take advantage of whatever you can get. And so, but like with Brenton Doyle, though, like, we mentioned him, he made the most of his opportunity, was not recruited by a Division I school. Things may be a little different now. I think you're going to see a lot more of these guys transfer up with the new NIL and payment structure and all that the NCAA is putting together. But still, even then, even if you transferred up, he didn't get that start there. So you wouldn't get the start there. But I mean, you do need to just keep plugging away. And so listen, if your best offer is UPike, that's a great offer.
Yeah, it's a terrific offer.
Great offer. And so that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter where you start, it's how you finish.
And it looks like in the comments section, we got an individual that says, late to the show, alarm clock didn't go off. Hope it's been a good show. I will watch later. You want to take a guess on who that comment was from?
If he's going to watch the show later, I would venture to say that is Darryl.
Yeah. So my man slept in. He was saving the world last night with the cannonballs and stuff. And
he needed to sleep. Listen, cannonballing is hard work.
Yeah.
And
that's something I can never do.
We will need an update soon, Darryl, on your cannonball expertise and see if you defended that title.
Absolutely.
I mean, I want to see you walking out with 2 medals, dangling around your neck. You need to look like Michael Phelps when you come back.
He's going to need about 25 to. He's got to be.
You got to accumulate over the years. Michael Phelps didn't get them all at once. You got to, like.
I mean, but he was getting like 8 at a time, wasn't he?
I mean, look, man, cannonball is a very specific event. It's Michael Phelps was swimming everything. I'm pretty sure he had gills.
Yeah, he was freaking nature for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw a story once on his lung capacity, and it's just unreal. They were showing like on the turns,
like
when they're swimming underwater, how he always came up later than everyone else, just because his ability to hold his breath under the water and kick, and so it gave him an advantage on every turn.
I think that they showed a stat like the length of his legs versus the length of his torso, and then his wingspan. Like that was also something that played into his ability to be that effective in the swimming pool.
Yes, the man was born to swim. And speaking of which, the Olympics are coming up. Are you excited?
I'm very excited, and one of the events that I'm looking the most forward to is the NBA, or not NBA, but the basketball Olympics. On the men's side and the women's side, but mainly on the men's side because I'm curious to see like how well they're going to perform. With the level of talent that has evolved in all countries.
I mean, obviously, the USA should win.
Yeah, on paper, the USA should win.
But man, we've said that before, and I think it depends on their mindset. If they go in, they treat it as a vacation, we might be in some trouble. If they treat it as a business trip, I think the gold's coming back.
Well, I'm definitely not going to count out. I mean, France didn't look too bad either, surprisingly.
France, Canada should be pretty good.
Yeah, Canada, absolutely.
So we'll see how some other countries are looking, but
yeah,
again, if they treat it as a business trip,
It's
and
it's
not as
gonna
a
it's gonna
vacation.
it's gonna end very quickly.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like you and I had another successful show today. I mean, it's been a challenge because again, for everybody in the comment section, everybody that's watching, like this is our first time hosting a show. I've been a co-host, but I'm not used to being, you know, the main talker. And Bradley, you've been a tremendous help, man. I greatly appreciate it. And do you have any homework assignments for me going into tonight?
I really don't. I tell you what, there is a young man who's playing at WVU right now
Okay.
who may be the first player drafted in the MLB draft.
Really?
I want you to research this guy
Okay.
for us tomorrow.
Can you what is his name? Do I need to?
I'm looking that up right now. I'm trying to
Okay.
think of the young man's name.
Uh-huh.
But he is looking to possibly be the top player selected in this draft. So we're kind of it's Weatherholt. It's JJ Weatherholt.
JJ Weatherhold. Another JJ. Okay.
But you look him up and look at what he's done at WVU. He's the real deal, man.
Okay.
I just was drawing a blank on his last name, but that's what I want you
Absolutely.
to do. Look up some JJ Weatherholt for us.
I'll do that for sure. Your assignment is going to be to find us another terrific guest. And again, I look forward to doing this the same time tomorrow for those out there, watching right now. Thank you so much for tuning in. And until tomorrow, I hope that you guys have a blessed day and, so long for now.